Okay, in this video, we're going to talk about equations with fractions and solving them. We're going to have 5 examples, so make sure that you keep your notes organized, that you separate each example so you can clearly see what's happened, and make any extra notes that you need to yourself off to the side. You also probably need to leave some extra space because I'm not actually going to solve all of these to the end. I'm just going to get us to a certain point. Okay, so a few reminders to begin with. First of all, a fraction bar means division. You need to know that. And the second thing I need you to know is that the top of a fraction multiplies, and the bottom of a fraction, which we call the denominator, divides. That is going to be very important that you understand that the top of the fraction multiplies and the bottom of the fraction divides. Okay, let's work through some examples. All right, so we're going to, like I said, we're going to look at everything we look at today is going to have fractions. I'll be honest, when I look at a question, if I can get rid of the fractions, I would rather do that instead of having to remember all my fraction rules. So what I need to do here is try to get rid of the fraction. And the part that's causing this to be a fraction is this denominator of 5 down here. If it wasn't there, there would be no fractions in this problem. So my goal is going to be to get rid of that. So remember, this currently means divide by 5. That's what it means. Well, I need to undo that. So to undo division by 5, I'm going to multiply by 5. And I'm going to do that to the entire equation. So you can write that a few ways. You can do parentheses and put a 5 in the front and know that you will distribute even across the equal sign. Or what I think is maybe better, and this is kind of up to you, I would just write times 5 on everything. Now remember what I just said, it's the top of the fraction that multiplies. So I'm not going to multiply anything on the bottom, I'm just multiplying the top. So this is going to make this negative 5x, the over 5 is still there, minus 50 equals negative 90. Now, one thing I will say, right here, you probably won't write this like negative 5 over 5. My hope is that you see that the whole reason you did this was so that 5 would cancel with 5. So instead of writing 5 over 5, you can write that, or you can just write this as negative x minus 50 equals negative 90. Okay, so now this is looking more like a normal problem, what we worked on solving yesterday. So I'm not actually going to go any further. You should know how to finish a problem like that out. I would leave some extra space in your notes just in case we need to come back and actually solve that. But you should make a note that from now, this is normal to solve. All right, let's look at another one. Okay, this is similar. I've got a fraction on the bottom. So again, the goal is going to be to eliminate this fraction, and the 10 is what's making it a fraction. So because this is currently dividing by 10, I'm going to multiply everything by 10. And again, you can interpret this 2 ways. You can either say it's negative 30 over 10 and then simplify, which some of you, honestly, most of you are probably going to do. That's probably the best practice. But eventually you're going to see that these just cancel out and you're left with negative 3x. But for now, I'm going to multiply everything because there's kind of some weird situations we're going to come up with. So this is now 20 equals negative 30 over 10x minus 70. And again, that's because the top multiplies and the bottom divides. So this is now 20 equals negative 3x minus 70. All right, and now this is back to normal. Okay. So what happens if you have multiple fractions? My suggestion that I'm about to give you does not always work, but it's the best place to start. So my best advice is to multiply by the largest denominator. It won't always work, but a lot of times it will get you where you need to be. So notice I'm going to highlight my largest denominator here is negative 6. So I'm going to multiply everything. I'm going to multiply everything by 6. I said negative 6, but I meant 6. Okay, so times 6 times 6 times 6. Remember, it's the top that multiplies, so this is negative 6 over 3x minus 6 over 6 equals negative 6 over 2. And in this example, we got lucky. When these actually, all of these actually divide, so this is really negative 2x minus 1 equals negative 3. And now we are back to normal. Sometimes you may have to multiply twice. So here's an example of that. I'm going to start with the largest one, just like I told you, and multiply by 5. The problem will be if I multiply by 5, I'm just going to show you. This is going to give me 5 x over 3 plus 15 over 5 equals 5 over 2. So that's going to get rid of one of my fractions, this one in the middle, but I still have the other two fractions because those don't divide. So one thing that you can do, instead of multiplying by the largest, you can just multiply like multiple times, or you can multiply by the greatest common factor of all those, or the least common multiple, sorry. So like here, if I have 3 and 2 left, I can just multiply everything by 6, and that'll take care of it more quickly. Okay, and you can, let me write that out just so you have it. This is going to be 30x over 3 plus 18 equals 30 over 2, which works well because 30 does divide by 3 and 30 does divide by 2. All right, let's go look at our next example. Okay, this is one thing that sometimes people get stuck on. They're like, well, okay, cool, how do I distribute with a fraction? Remember, distributive is multiplication, so the top multiplies, the bottom divides. So this is going to be 15 equals 7 times 4 is 28x over 5 plus 7 times 1 is 7 over 5, because this division is distributing also, right? So now I'm back to where I was. I need to get rid of this denominator. So 5 is the denominator I'm trying to get rid of, which means I'm going to multiply everything by 5. And hopefully you see at this point, if you're multiplying by 5 to get rid of the 5, those cancel. And the reason I'm showing you that here is because I don't want to multiply 28 by 5 and then have to go back and divide it. So 15 times 5 is 75 equals 28x plus 7. And now you are back to normal. Okay, I think I'm actually going to leave it there. We will work on these and talk about some more of these tomorrow. It's the same concept over and over again. You need to be multiplying by denominators to make them leave your problems so you can get back to normal integer problems.